Good morning, students. How are you all? I hope you all are doing well at your home. So this video is for the students of class 9th, subject science, chapter number 4, that is structure of an atom. This is your lecture number 5. In this lecture, I would be taking the summary of the whole chapter, covering all the topics in a nutshell. So let's start. In the previous chapter, you studied about atom. You studied about the Dalton's theory, in which Dalton said that atom is the smallest unit of matter which cannot be divided further. Okay, according to Dalton, atom is indestructible, it is indivisible. But later on, certain experiments they were carried out by various scientists, and it was revealed that atom is divisible. Okay, atom is divisible into its subatomic particles. So Dalton's theory was failed. Okay. So atom is divisible and it consists of subatomic particles. What are those subatomic particles? Electron, proton and neutron. These are the three subatomic particles present inside the atom. So, let us study about these three subatomic particles in brief. The first property is discovery. Electron. Electron was discovered by J.J. Thomson. Proton was discovered by E. Goldstein. And neutron was discovered by J. Chadwick. Clear, students? Coming to next property, that is symbol. Electron is represented as E or E negative. Proton is represented as P or P positive. And neutron, it is represented as N. Now what is the nature? Electron. Electron is negatively charged. So that's why I have written E negative. Proton is positively charged. So that's why P positive. And neutron, it is neutral. Means there is no charge. Next is relative charge. Electron -1, proton +1, neutron 0. Coming to next property, that is absolute charge. Electron has -1.6 into 10 to the power -19 coulomb. Coulomb is a SI unit of charge. So that's why I have written C. C means coulomb. Proton carries plus 1.6 into 10 to the power -19 coulomb. Okay, the charges are same, just the difference is there in the sign. And neutron, it has no charge, so 0. Coming to next property, that is mass. Electron has mass of 9.11 into 10 to the power -31 kg. Proton has mass 1.672 into 10 to the power -27 kg. And neutron has mass 1.675 into 10 to the power -27 kg. So you will see that the proton and neutron, their mass they are approximately equal. Okay? The mass of proton is equal to the mass of neutron. Coming to last property, that is location. Means where these subatomic particles are found. Electron is found around the nucleus. Proton, it is found in the nucleus. And neutron, it is also found in the nucleus. Okay, these two are present inside the nucleus and it is present outside the nucleus. So this was about the subatomic particles, that is electron, proton and neutron. There is an important term which is given in your NCERT book, that is canal rays. So what are canal rays? It was discovered by E. Goldstein. Okay, canal rays are the rays which are positively charged radiations which led to the discovery of a subatomic particle called as proton, represented as small p. And these canal rays, these are also called as anode rays. Clear? E. Goldstein discovered canal rays, and these rays, it led to the discovery of proton. Now, you all know that the Dalton's theory was failed when the two subatomic particles, that is electron and proton, they were discovered. Okay, so now the question arises how these two subatomic particles, that is electron and proton, they are distributed inside the atom. Okay, so various theories, various models were given by so many scientists. So let us study those models one by one. So the first model given to explain the distribution of electron and proton was Thomson's model of an atom. This model was given by a scientist named as J.J. Thomson. He resembled his model to Christmas pudding and watermelon. How? J.J. Thomson compared the seeds of watermelon to these negatively charged particles called as electrons, and the red edible part which you eat of the watermelon, it was compared to positive sphere. Okay, and same case with Christmas pudding. The dry fruits, they were like the electrons, and the pudding, it was like the positive sphere, the edible part. Okay, so what were the postulates of J.J. Thomson's model? Number 1, an atom consists of a positively charged sphere. This is positively charged sphere, and the electrons are embedded in it. You can see the electrons, they are embedded in it. Okay, the positive part is distributed all over the sphere. That was compared with the edible part of the watermelon, and the electrons, they are embedded in it, which was compared with the seeds of watermelon. And second was the negative and the positive charges, they are equal in magnitude. Okay, if there are 5 positive charge, there will be 5 negative charge. So as a result, the atom as a whole is electrically neutral. Why? Because equal positive and equal negative charge, they will neutralize with each other, they will cancel with each other. So as a result, atom is neutral. So these were the two postulates of J.J. Thomson's model of an atom. Now, there were some drawbacks also. So what were the drawbacks? Number one, it did not have any experimental evidence into support. And number two, it failed to explain the results of Rutherford's alpha scattering experiment. The experiment which was given by Rutherford after Thomson's model. The alpha scattering experiment. It was not explained by J.J. Thomson. So these were the drawbacks of Thomson's model. After Thomson, Rutherford came. He gave his own model, that was Rutherford's model. And he carried out an experiment which was called as alpha scattering experiment. This is alpha. So, what happened in that experiment? The fast moving alpha particles, they were made to fall on a thin gold foil. Okay, now the question arises, what are alpha particles and why Rutherford took only gold foil? Alpha particles, these are doubly charged helium nuclei. Okay, helium nuclei, and it is doubly charged. And why gold foil? The gold foil was taken because the density of the gold atom, it is very, very high. Okay. So that's why gold foil was taken. So this is the alpha scattering experiment. These are the gold atoms and the alpha particles, they were passed through this gold foil. So what were the observations of alpha scattering experiment? Number one, most of the alpha particles passed straight through the gold foil. You can see by yellow line I have drawn. These alpha particles, they passed straight. Second observation, some of the alpha particles, they were deflected by small angles. So that I have represented by red line. They were deflected by small angles. And the last, 1 out of every 12,000 particle, it appeared to rebound. Rebound means making an angle of 180 degree. Means the path which was followed, the same path was taken to come back. So the angle is 180 degree. So these were the observations of alpha scattering experiment. So what are the conclusions drawn from these observations? Number one, most of the space inside the atom is empty. Why? Because most of the alpha particles, they were passing straight. So it means the space inside the atom, it is empty. Number two, very few particles, they were deflected from their path. Yes. So what does it indicate? It indicates that the positive charge of the atom occupies very little space. And the third, a very small fraction of the alpha particle, they were deflected by 180 degree angle. What does it indicate? It indicates that all the positive charge as well as the mass of the gold atom, they are concentrated in a very small volume within the atom. Okay, so these were the conclusions drawn from the observations of alpha scattering experiment. Now, what are the features of this Rutherford's nuclear model of an atom? Number one, there is a positively charged center inside the atom which is called nucleus. and nearly all the mass of an atom, it resides in the nucleus. Okay, the mass of the atom, it is concentrated only in the nucleus. Number 2, the electrons. Electrons means negatively charged. They revolve around the nucleus in well-defined orbits. And number 3, the size of the nucleus is very, very small as compared to the size of atom. Coming to next topic, what are the drawbacks of Rutherford's model of an atom? Now, any particle in circular orbit, it would undergo acceleration. Okay, in this case, which particle is revolving in the orbits, in the circular path? It is electron. It means electron is charged particle. So, any particle in circular orbit would undergo acceleration. Acceleration means rate of change of velocity. And during this acceleration, that charged particle, it would radiate, it would release energy. Okay, so the revolving electron, it will lose energy and finally it will fall into the nucleus. And if it falls inside the nucleus, it means atom is unstable. See this diagram? This is nucleus where the positive charge and the mass is concentrated inside the nucleus. Now these are the circular path in which electron is revolving, E negative. Now this charged particle, it will undergo acceleration. Okay, so it will release energy. And when it will release energy, it will finally fall into the nucleus. And if it falls into the nucleus, means atom is unstable. But the atoms are stable. Okay, the atoms are stable. So, the Rutherford's model failed here. Because Rutherford could not explain the stability of an atom. So, this model was rejected. After Rutherford's, Bohr came, Neil Bohr. He gave his own model, that is Bohr's model of an atom. So what were the postulates of Bohr's model? Number 1, only certain spatial orbits known as discrete orbits of the electrons are allowed inside the atom. And while revolving in these discrete orbits, the electron do not radiate energy. Okay, in Rutherford, the electrons were revolving in all the orbits. But according to Bohr, there are only spatial orbits, discrete orbits, in which the electron will revolve and it will not release energy. And if it does not release energy, means it will not fall into the nucleus. It means atom is stable. So Bohr's model was acceptable. Okay, and these orbits or shells, they are also called as energy level. Okay, these circular path you can call as orbit, you can call as shell, you can call as energy level. One and the same thing. So this is the nucleus, the centrally located part inside the atom. The first shell is called as K shell, second shell is called as L shell, third shell is called as M shell, and the fourth shell is called as N shell, so on. Okay, they were represented by letters K, L, M, N, so on. Or they are represented by numbers where N is equal to 1 for K shell, N is equal to 2 for L shell, N is equal to 3 for M shell, N is equal to 4 for N shell. Means first shell, second shell, third shell, fourth shell. Okay, the N represents shell number. So this was about Bohr's model. And one more thing, students, I told you that the mass of the atom, it resides inside the nucleus. Okay, so the mass of the atom, it is given by sum of protons and neutrons. There are three subatomic particles, electron, proton and neutron. Electrons, they revolve around the nucleus. And protons and neutrons, they are present inside the nucleus. So the total proton and total neutrons, that will give the mass of an atom. Clear, students? Moving ahead to our next topic, that is how are the electrons distributed in the differentials. This distribution of the electrons, it was given by Bohr and Bury. These were the two scientists who gave this electronic distributions and the differentials in the orbits. So that's why it is also called as Bohr-Bury scheme of electronic distribution. So he gave some of the rules. So what are the rules? Number 1, the maximum number of electrons present in a shell, it is given by the formula 2n square, where this n, it is the energy level or the shell number or the orbit number. Okay. Suppose first shell is K shell. So 2n square, 2 into what is n? For first, n is 1. So 2 into 1 square, that is 2. For second shell, that is L shell. So what is n? N is 2. So 2n square, 2 into 2 whole square, that is 8. Same for third shell, 18. Same for fourth shell, 32. So these are the maximum number of electrons which are present in a shell. That is given by 2n square. The first shell 2, second 8, third 18, fourth 32. Second rule is the maximum number of electrons that can be accommodated in the outermost orbit is 8. Okay, in the outermost orbit, the maximum number of electrons should be 8. And the third rule, the electrons are not accommodated in a given shell unless the inner shells are filled. Means the shells, they will be filled in stepwise manner. First, we will fill the first shell, then we will fill the second shell, then we will fill the third shell. It does not mean you are filling the first shell, then you are filling the third shell, then you fill the second shell. No, it will go in a stepwise manner. So these are some of the rules for the electronic distribution in the differentials. There is a term in this chapter, that is valency. What is valency? You studied in the previous chapter also. It is the combining capacity of an atom. That is valency. Now, when the atom is stable, the atom will be stable if it has doublet, doublet means 2, or octet, octet means 8 configuration. Configuration means distribution of electron. Okay. It should have 2 or 8 electrons as noble gas configuration. This will be more clear if I take some of the examples. First element is helium. What is the atomic number of helium? It is 2. Now, in the first shell, how many electrons can be filled by 2n square rule? 2. So, in the first shell, fill the 2 electrons. So, we have to fill only 2 electrons because the atomic number is 2. So, 2 electrons filled. Now, see, in the first shell, it is having 2 electrons. It is having doublet configuration. It means this atom is stable. Okay, in the first shell, it should be 2. Coming to next example, neon. Atomic number is 10. In the first shell, how many electrons can be filled? 2. So, 2 electrons. In the second shell, how many electrons can be filled? We are left with 8. 2 are filled, 8 are left. So 2 in the first shell, and 8 in the second shell. Now 8 electrons are there in the outermost shell, means second shell. So octet configuration means this atom is stable. Argon, atomic number is 18. Fill the electrons. In first shell 2, second shell 8. We can fill only 8 electrons in the second shell according to the rule given by Bohr-Bury, that the maximum number of electrons can be accommodated is 8. So 2, 8, that is 10. We are left with how many electrons? 8. So 8 electrons in the outermost shell. So 2 first shell, 8 second shell, third 8 shell. Total gives 18. Now see outermost shell. How many electrons in outermost? 8. So octet configuration means stable. Remember, in the first shell it should be 2 and in all the other shells it should be 8 in the outermost orbit except first shell. And they are stable. And what is the electronic configuration now? Write down 2 electrons in first shell, so 2. In second case, 2 electrons in first shell, comma. How many electrons in second shell? 8. So 2, 8. Similarly for third, 2, 8, 8. So these all are stable. Why? Because it has doublet configuration for the first shell and for the other shell it has octet configuration. Means the outermost shell has 8 electrons, so they all are stable. Clear, students? So what are valence electrons? Electrons present in the outermost shell, they are called as valence electrons. In the first case, only one shell is present, that is outermost, so valence electrons are 2. In the second case, outermost shell has 8 electrons, so valence electrons are 8. In the third shell, the outermost shell has 8 electrons, so the valence electrons are 8. Consider only outermost shell. Clear, students? So, an outermost shell which has 8 electrons, it is said to be octet. Octet means 8. But it will not be possible in all the atoms. Okay, in all the atoms, the outermost shell will not have 8 electrons. So what will be done in those cases? In that case, an atom reacts, that is done by sharing, gaining or losing of electrons. Okay, the electrons are gained, shared or lose. And the number of electrons which are shared, which are gained or which are loose, in order to achieve 8, in order to achieve octet in the outermost shell, that is called as valency. Okay, that is called as valency. Now, we will take few examples to calculate valency. Concentrate, everyone. First example is hydrogen. What is the atomic number of hydrogen? It is 1. Okay, so this is nucleus. Now we have to fill only 1 electron. So first shell 1 electron. Okay, now calculate the valency. In the first shell, how many electrons can be hold? It can be hold 2 electrons. But we are having only 1 electron. Okay, so we need to make this 2. Okay, we need to make this 2. So what can be done? It will gain 1 electron. Okay, it will gain 1 electron. So, when it gains 1 electron, this shell will have 2 electrons. Doublet configuration, stable configuration. So, what is the valency? 1. Why? Because it is gaining 1 electron. And what is the charge? For gain, charges minus, and for lose, we will write plus. So, in this it is gaining 1 electron, So we have written minus. So valency is 1, charge is minus 1. Come to second case, helium. What was the atomic number of helium? It is 2. So fill the electrons. In the first shell, how many electrons can be filled? 2. And the first shell, it is always doublet. So it is 2 electrons, it is doublet, it is stable. So either it will gain or lose electron. It will not gain, it will not lose, because it is already stable. So valency is 0. Okay. Coming to next case, lithium. What is the atomic number of lithium? It is 3. So in the first shell, how many electrons can be filled? 2. Now we are left with 1 electron. So fill that 1 electron in the second shell. Okay. Now in the second shell, we are having 1 electron. But we need to make this octet. Octet means 8 electrons. Okay. So how this can be achieved octet? Either it will gain 7 electrons to become 8, or it will lose this 1 electron to make this stable doublet configuration in the first shell. So which is easy? Gaining 7 or losing 1? Losing 1 is easy. So it will lose 1 electron. So what is the valency? Valency is 1. And it is losing. So plus. Next case, beryllium. What is the atomic number of beryllium? 4. So 2 electrons in the first shell, remaining 2 electrons in the second shell. Okay. So in the outermost shell, how many electrons are present? 2. We need to make this 8. So what can be done? Either it will gain 6 electrons to make it, or it will lose these 2 electrons to achieve this doublet or stable configuration. So which is more easy? Losing 2 electrons is easy. So 2 electrons will be lost. So valency is 2. And losing means plus. Coming to next case, boron. What is the atomic number of boron? It is 5. So start filling the electrons. 2 electrons in the first shell, 3 electrons in the second shell. Now in the outermost shell, how many electrons are there? 3. We need to make this 8. So what can be done? Either it will gain 5 electrons, or it will lose 3 electrons. So which one is easy? Losing 3 electrons. So valency is 3. And it is losing, so charge is plus. Next is carbon. Atomic number 6. Start filling the electrons. 2 electrons in the first shell, 4 electrons in the second shell. Okay. Now in the second shell, how many electrons are there? 4. We need to make this 8. So what can be done? Either it will gain 4 electron, or it will lose 4 electron to achieve this octet configuration. Now see, they both are same. Number of electrons of gain and lose, they both are 4. So valency is 4. Now what about the charge? It can gain, it can lose. So the charge, they are both plus 4 and minus 4. Coming to nitrogen. Nitrogen atomic number is 7. 2 electrons in the first shell and 5 electrons in the second shell. So how many electrons are in outermost shell? 5. We need to make this 8. So either it will gain 3 electron, or it will lose 5 electrons. So which one is easy? Gaining. So how many electrons are there gained? 3 electrons are being gained. Okay. You will write how many electrons are gained or how many electrons are lost. That will be the valency. So 3 electrons are gained. So charge is minus. That's why nitrogen exists in the form of N3 negative. Now you understood from where it came. Neon. What is the atomic number? 10. So 2 electrons in the first shell, 8 electrons in the second shell. So outermost shell how many? 8. So we need to make this 8. It is already 8. It is stable. So valency is 0. Next is sodium. Sodium atomic number 11. So 2 electrons in the first shell. In the second shell 8 electrons. We can fill only 8 electrons in the second shell according to Bohr-Bury scheme. So 2 plus 8, 10. We are left with 1. So 1 electron in the third shell. So outermost shell how many electrons? 1. So it will make this octet. How? Gaining by 7 electron or losing this 1 electron. If it lose this 1 electron, the octet configuration will be achieved. So which one is easy? Losing 1 or gaining 7? Losing 1 electron. So when valency is 1 and it is losing, charge is plus. So that's why sodium exists in the form of Na positive. Clear? Coming to next case, magnesium. What is the atomic number? 12. So 2 electrons in the first shell and 8 electrons in the second shell. So 2 plus 8, 10. How many electrons are left? 2. So in the outermost shell, how many electrons? 2. We need to make this 8. So what will be done? It will lose 2 electrons. So valency is 2 and charge is plus because it is losing. So that's why magnesium exists in the form of Mg2 positive. Clear, students? Now you can calculate the valency easily. Just remember one thing. In the first shell it should be doublet and in all the other shell it should be octet. Okay? And if it is losing, it will be plus. If it is gaining, minus charge. And how to write the electronic configuration? 2 in the first shell, comma, 8 electrons in the second shell, comma, 2 electrons in the third shell. So this is electronic configuration. We write by comma. Okay? So I hope you are clear how to calculate valency. One more thing, students. This hydrogen. It is losing 1 electron. Sorry, it is gaining 1 electron to make this doublet configuration. If it lose this 1 electron, so only nucleus will be there, that is also stable. So it is losing 1 electron. So plus 1 charge can also be there. So hydrogen exists in the form of H positive and H negative, both. Okay. So this was about the concept of valency. Now moving ahead to our next topic, that is atomic number and mass number. Mass number or atomic mass, one and the same thing. What is atomic number? Atomic number is the number of protons in an atom. Okay, if there are 2 protons, the atomic number is 2. And what is mass number? Mass number is sum of protons and neutrons inside the nucleus. That I told you before also. Inside the nucleus, protons and neutrons are present. So sum of protons and sum of neutrons. That is mass number or atomic mass. So atomic number is number of protons. Mass number is sum of protons and neutrons. And students, one more thing. Protons and neutrons, they are collectively called as nucleons. Okay, this is a name given to protons and neutrons collectively. Now, how to represent any element? Okay, suppose there is an element X. So we write X, that is the symbol of element, and mass number, that is written on the top, and the atomic number is written on the below. Okay, mass number on the top, atomic number on the below. They are written on the left hand side of this symbol of element. Mass number is represented as capital A and atomic number is represented as capital Z. Suppose helium. What is the symbol? He. What is the mass number of helium? It is 4U. So 4 is the mass number. That is written on the top, left hand side. And what is the atomic number of helium? It is 2. So it is written below. So this is the representation of this element helium. Mass number on the top, atomic number on the below, and symbol. Clear, students? Now you know that atomic number is proton and mass number is proton plus neutron. So in this case, you know proton plus neutron, that is 4, and you know proton, that is 2. So you can calculate neutron. It will be how much? Proton is 2. So substitute here in this equation. So 2 plus n is equal to 4. N is equal to 4 minus 2, that is 2. So number of neutrons are 2. How we got? Mass number minus atomic number, simply. That gives the number of neutrons. So you can write down this formula in your notebook. Number of neutrons is equal to mass number, that is represented as A, minus atomic number, that is represented as Z. Let us take one more example. Calcium. Calcium, it is symbol is Ca. Atomic number 20 written below. Mass number 40 written above. Now calculate the number of neutrons. So number of neutrons is equal to mass number minus atomic number, means 40 minus 20, that will be 20. Clear? So number of neutrons are 20 in the case of calcium. So moving ahead to our next topic, that is isotopes. What are isotopes? These are the atoms of same element having same atomic number but different mass number. Yes, element is same. So obviously the atomic number will also be the same. But the mass number is different. So this is isotope. Let us take example. Hydrogen. Hydrogen occurs in 3 isotopes. What are they? Protium, deuterium and tritium. Okay. Hydrogen symbol is H. Atomic number 1 written below. So same. Mass number is different because these are isotopes. So in the first case it is 1. In the second case it is 2. In the third case it is 3. So these are the 3 isotopes of hydrogen. Where atomic number is same. 1, 1, 1. And mass number is different. That is 1, 2, 3. So hydrogen occurs in 3 isotopes. That is one of the example. Another example you can take of carbon. Carbon also occurs in 2 isotopes. 12 carbon and 14 carbon. Okay, 12 is the mass and 14 is the mass. But atomic number is same. 6, 6 and the elements are same. Carbon, carbon, CC. Okay. In the definition of atomic mass unit, we took carbon 12 isotope. So what does it mean? It is this carbon where the mass is 12. Okay, understood? The third example of isotope is chlorine. Chlorine exists in 2 isotopes, 35 chlorine and 37 chlorine. Atomic number same, mass number different. Clear? Now the question arises, if the mass number is different, that is 35 and 37, so in calculation, which mass we will take? The answer is, we take the average atomic mass. So how to calculate average atomic mass? Suppose I take the example of chlorine. Okay. So average atomic mass is equal to atomic mass of isotope 1. What is the atomic mass? 35. Multiply by its percentage in nature. Okay, the percentage will be given in the question of this isotope, plus atomic mass of isotope 2, that is 37, into its percentage in nature. The percentage of this will also be given in the question, divided by 100. So this is the formula to calculate average atomic mass. Okay. And one more thing, students, each isotope, it is a pure substance. Okay. Each isotope is a pure substance. And these isotopes, they have similar chemical properties, but the physical properties are different. Remember this. So what are the applications of isotope? An isotope of uranium, that is U symbol, it is used as a fuel in nuclear reactor. An isotope of cobalt, that is CO, it is used in the treatment of cancer. And an isotope of iodine, that is I, it is used in the treatment of goiter. So these are the various applications of isotopes. Clear, students? Now moving ahead to our last topic of this chapter, that is isobars. So what are isobars? These are the atoms of different elements having different atomic number but same mass number. Elements are different, so it is obvious the atomic number will also be the different, but the mass number is same. Take this example. Calcium and argon. Calcium atomic number is 20, argon atomic number is 18. So different elements, different atomic number. But the masses of both these, they are same, that is 40-40. So these are the pair of isobars. Okay. Isotope, same atomic number, different mass number. But isobar, different atomic number, but same mass number. Clear, students? So this was about the whole chapter. I hope you have understood each and every point of this chapter now. Now students, I will be discussing the homework solutions of lecture number 4. So you can match your answers and correct if any error was. How will you find out the valency of chlorine, sulfur and magnesium? So chlorine, what is the atomic number of chlorine? It is 17. Okay. So write down the electronic configuration now. 2, 8, 7. In K shell 2, L shell 8 and M shell 7. Now what will be the valency? It will be 1 because it will gain 1 electron to complete its octet. For sulfur, what is the atomic number? It is 16. So write down the electronic configuration 2, 8, 6. So what will be the valency? 2 because it will gain 2 electrons to complete this octet. Magnesium, what is the atomic number? 12. So what will be the electronic configuration? 2, 8, 2. Now what will be the valency? Valency will be 2 because it will lose the 2 electrons from the outermost shell. So this is question number 1. Question number 2 is, if the number of electrons in an atom is 8 and number of protons is also 8, so what is the atomic number and what is the charge? Okay, electrons we are given 8, protons we are given 8. So what is the atomic number? Atomic number is basically what? It is equal to number of protons. And number of protons are 8. So the atomic number is 8. Now what is the second part? What is the charge? So find out the valency. How to find out the valency? Write down the electronic configuration first. So it will be 2, 6. 2 in the first shell K and 6 in the second shell L. Now find out the valency. The valency will be 2. And what will be the charge? It will be minus because it is gaining 2 electrons. Question number 3. With the help of the table, find out the mass number of oxygen and sulfur atoms. What is mass number? It is equal to protons plus neutrons. So you will have to find the mass number for oxygen as well as sulfur. So for oxygen, protons are 8 and neutrons are 8. So 8 plus 8, that will be 16 for oxygen. And for sulfur, protons are 16 and neutrons are 16. So what is the mass number? 32. Next question is, write down the electronic configuration of any one pair of isotopes and isobars. So what is the example of isotopes? 12,6 carbon and 14,6 carbon. Okay. So what is the electronic configuration? Electronic configuration is written on the basis of atomic number. So atomic number is 6. So electronic configuration is 2 in the K shell, that is first shell, and 4 electrons in the second shell, that is L shell. Same here, 6 electrons, 6 atomic number, sorry. So 2 electron in the first, 4 electron in the second. Similarly for isobars, write down the example, 40 argon and 40 calcium. Okay, so atomic number is 18 for argon, for calcium it is 20. So for 18, electronic configuration is 288. For calcium, electronic configuration is 2882. Clear? So these are the answers of in-text questions. Now coming to exercise questions. Question number 7 is, define valency by taking the examples of silicon and oxygen. So what is valency? Valency is the combining capacity of an atom with another atom. That is valency. So you have to find out the valency of silicon and oxygen. For silicon, atomic number is 14. Z means atomic number. So write down the electronic configuration. 2 in the K shell, 8 in the L shell and 4 in the M shell. So 284. So what is the valency? 4. Because it will gain or lose 4 electrons. For oxygen, atomic number is 16. So electronic configuration is 286. Valency is 2. Question number 9 is, sodium positive has completely KL shells. Explain. So what is the atomic number of sodium? 11. So what is the electronic configuration? 281. Now sodium ion, it is obtained when sodium atom, this is sodium atom, and when it will lose one electron, it will form sodium ion. So sodium ion is obtained when sodium loses one electron from its outermost shell. So when it loses one electron from the outermost shell, it will get 2 and 8. Atom will convert to ion. Okay, so 2 and 8. So now see, in the K shell, how many electrons can be filled? Only 2. And in the L shell, how many electrons can be filled? 8. So KL shells are completely filled as their maximum capacity is 2 and 8 respectively. Clear, students? Question number 10. If bromine atom is available in the two form of isotopes, that is 7935 Br, 7935 Br 49.7%, and another is 8135 Br, Br means bromine, 50.3%. So you will have to calculate the average atomic mass of bromine atom. So how to calculate the average atomic mass? Just apply the formula. The atomic mass of isotope 1, that is 79, multiplied by its percentage in nature, that is 49.7%, plus atomic mass of isotope 2, that is 81, multiplied by its percentage in nature, that is 50.3, divided by 100. So calculate your answer. You will get 80.006 U. Do not forget to write the unit U, because it is atomic mass. Question number 11. The average atomic mass is given, that is 16.2 U. What are the percentages? Okay, you have to calculate the percentage now. In earlier case, you were calculating the average atomic mass because percentage was given. But in this question, the percentage is not given, you have to calculate. So, suppose the percentage of first isotope be X and the percentage of second isotope be 100 minus X. So, apply the same formula. Average atomic mass is equal to atomic mass of isotope 1, that is 16, multiplied by its percentage in nature, that is X, plus atomic mass of isotope 2, that is 18, multiplied by its percentage in nature, that is 100 minus X, divided by 100. So just solve it. The average atomic mass is given in the question, that is 16.2 U. So put the value and calculate the value of X. When you calculate the value of X, you will get 90. Okay, so this percentage, it is as for the isotope 16.8X, because we suppose X for this isotope. So the percentage of 16.8X is 90% that we obtained. And the percentage of another isotope will be 100 minus X. So 100 minus 90, that will be 10%. Clear, students? So this is answer of question number 11th. Question number 12 is, if Z is 3, Z means atomic number. Atomic number is 3, what will be the valency and what would be the element? You know the atomic number, that is 3. So write down the electronic configuration. It will be 2 and 1. 2 in the K shell, 1 in the L shell. So now calculate the valency. Valency will be 1 because it will lose this 1 electron to achieve the stable configuration. So valency is 1. Now what is the element? Element, atomic number is 3. So atomic number 3 is lithium. So element is lithium. Symbol is capital L, small I. So this is the answer of question number 12. Coming to question number 13. The composition of the two nuclei of the atomic species X and Y are given as under. X and Y, the protons are given and neutrons are given. For X, protons are 6, neutrons are 6. For Y, protons are 6, neutrons are 8. So, what is asked in the question? You have to calculate the mass number of X and Y element. Plus, you will have to tell the relationship between these two species. So, what is the formula of mass number? Proton plus neutron. So, calculate for X. What is proton? 6. What is neutron? 6. So, 6 plus 6, 12. 12 will be mass number for X. And for Y, it will be 6 plus 8. It will be 14. Clear? For X, 12. For Y, 14. Mass number. Now, what is the relationship between these two? See carefully. The mass number, they are different. But the protons is same. Proton means atomic number. Mass number different, atomic number same. So they are called as isotopes. What are isotopes? These are the atoms of same element which have same atomic number and different mass number. Okay, so this is question number 13. Coming to question number 14. Question number 14 is, for the following statements, write true or false. First, J.J. Thomson proposed that nucleus of an atom contains only nucleons. This statement is false. Neutron is formed by electron and proton combining together, so it is neutral. The statement is also false. The mass of an electron is about 1 by 2000 times that of proton. Yes, the statement is true. Isotope of iodine is used in making tincture of iodine, which is used as medicine. This statement is false. So the answer is false, false, true, false. Question number 15. Rutherford's alpha particle scattering experiment was responsible for the discovery of atomic nucleus, electron, proton and neutron. You have to choose one option. So the answer is atomic nucleus. Okay, the alpha scattering experiment discovered nucleus. Question number 16. The isotopes of an element have same physical properties, different chemical properties, different number of neutrons, different atomic number. What are isotopes? Same element, same atomic number. So this statement is false. Same atomic number, different mass number. Okay, they have same chemical properties. This is different, wrong. But different physical properties. So it is written same, this is wrong. So the answer is C. They have different mass of neutrons. Because the mass number is different, so the neutrons are different. Question number 17. The number of valence electrons in Cl negative ion are. You have to calculate the number of valence electrons. For chlorine, what is the atomic number? 17. So write down the electronic configuration 2, 8, 7. Now it is written -1. What does it mean? It has gained 1 electron. So when electron gains, it will enter in the last shell, that is M shell. So 2, 8, 8. So what are the valence electrons? Valence electrons means electrons present in outermost shell. So it is 8. So answer is B. So that's it for today's lecture. Thank you.